Hi guys, welcome back to my system design series, and today we are going to talk about web services. Now, what are web services? We have heard a lot about web services. So, this web service is a kind of service or application that provides or allows the communication between two systems. Now, what do you mean by systems? Here, system could be any website, any application, any database service, or any device which could be like a cloud based service, or it is using cloud based application, or maybe it is using the remote application. So web services are providing or allowing communication over internet using some standard protocols. Okay, so now there would be a lot of questions. First is, what do you mean by protocol? So protocol is a kind of like set of rules which both the party or both the system should follow before they are starting or initiating their communication. Okay, so let's understand the key features of protocols. So key features are the data format. So both the party will decide that their data communication would be either XML or any format they will decide. Second, handling errors. So basically it provides the methods to detect errors and while transmission of messages. Third is security aspects. So this ensured there would be encryption and decryption for the security aspects of the data. Fourth is communication. It defines how the devices should initiate, terminate the communication process. So this was all about protocol. So there was one another word, that is a communication. Now let's discuss how these web services are communicating, that is a types of communication. Okay. So first is synchronous, second is asynchronous, third is one way of communication, fourth is two way of communication, that is a request response, fifth is pub sub, that is a publisher and subscriber. It is also called event driven communication. So let's discuss one by one in detail. Here, the synchronous communication means the client is sending the request to the server and waits for the response before doing any another process. So here, the client is blocked. So here, take an example of OTP. So OTP is required in a lot of different applications, but let's take an example of a banking system. When you want to transfer the amount, then it first requires the OTP, and that's how it will authenticate. Second is asynchronous. Here the client will send the request and it can continue doing the other processes or other work. So here you can take an example of emails. When you are sending email, then you don't have to wait for like if it is sent or not, and you can continue whatever another process you want to do. So here the batch processing can work along with the another processes and it won't hamper or even block the clients. So it's all about the asynchronous communication. Let's talk about the one way communication. One way communication is like you are sending one request to the server and not expecting any response from the server side. Vice versa is also applicable, and here you can consider example of notification system. You might have heard about Zomato or Swiggy sending you notification, right? So those are the one way communication, as you are not responding to those notification and you are not sending the response back. So that is an example of one way communication. Let's talk about the two way communication. Here you can take an example of while you are searching anything on the www.google.com and you are getting all the web pages. So that is a request and response. That is a two-way communication. Okay, so let's talk about the publisher and subscriber communication or event driven communication. Here, the client subscribes to the publisher channel. Here the client willingly shows the interest to watch or receive the data from publishers. So whenever publishers produces the content, it sends the real time notification, and client in its free time can watch this data or consumes it. So that is all about a publisher subscriber communication. Also, we can take an example of if you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, then and even after that you have turned on the notification. So whenever I'm publishing the new video, you will get a notification, and on your free time you can watch the video. Okay, so this was all about the type of communication. As we have discussed what do you mean by network, let's discuss the types or examples of network. So some of the examples are HTTP, HTTPS, IP, then FTP, SMTP, Bluetooth services. So here the full form of HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP is a secure version of HTTP, so secure version of Hypertext Transfer Protocol. IP is Internet Protocol. FTP is File Transfer Protocol. SMTP is Simple Message Transfer Protocol. Also, we can include SOAP, that is Single Object Access Protocol. So, a protocol is essentially a set of rules that governs a way how the data is transmitted and received between different entities or any of the applications. So it ensures that both the sender and receiver ensures having the same type of communication, the data transfer, and understand each other's intentions. So who defines these all protocols? Protocols are defined by standard organization, industry groups, or any governing bodies. So some of the standard organizations are IETF, then there is a W3C, IEEE, etc. So IETF is Internet Engineer Task Force. W3C is World Wide Web Consortium. IEEE is Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Okay, so let's understand this. So IEEE defines the protocols which are related to hardware, communication, and networking. For example, the Ethernet protocol are defined by IEEE. Now let's talk about the W3C. W3C is responsible for defining the web standards, protocols related to the web technologies. So some of them SOAP has been defined by W3C. Now let's talk about IETF. IETF is the primary organization which have defined lot of different protocols such as HTTP, IP, even SMTP and DNS. So you might be thinking that how this protocol system, like if you want to pass on or make any protocol, what is the process of it? So first, whenever you are making any of the protocol, first it went into the drafting and proposal state. So various groups and organizations propose the new protocols or maybe modify the existing protocols. So basically these drafts are in the form of documents or maybe electrical documents. After this, the protocol will be into the review and iteration stage. So the proposed protocols are being reviewed, tested, or after that debated. Feedback is collected, and after that some of the adjustments are being made, like is the protocol really effective, secure and practical for widespread use. After this, the third stage is standardization. Once the protocol is been thoroughly reviewed and tested, it is made as standard or made as standardized protocol. And fourth, the last stage is adoption. After this, the finalized protocol will be adopted by developers, companies, and technologies globally. Okay, so this was all about the network, web services, and different types of communication. Okay, so let's discuss about the challenges and best practices of using web services. So, what could be challenging part? First, latency. Second, scalability. Third would be security. So as we know that the web service is used as a communication, it allows a communication between the two systems. So just imagine that one system is lying in the US and one system is lying in the India. Then here the distance is too much, right? So here the web services could be slow due to the network delays. So here the solution would be we can use the CDNs. CDNs are content delivery networks which are used or which are kind of servers which stores the static data. And we will discuss about it more in detail in the next videos. But just understand it for now. We are using CDNs or we might using caching data. So when we can use the caching when you are making the same request calls. Okay. We will discuss about the caching as well in the detail. So let's not go into the detail. So second is scalability. So now let's imagine that as it's a Black Friday sale or maybe it's Diwali, so lots and lots of users are using Amazon. Now the Amazon also uses the web service such as payment service. Okay. Now because payment service will have lots of user altogether, so we will need more web services. So for that we can use microservices or we can use load balancers to eventually distribute the requests on all the servers to handle the millions of requests altogether. This has been used by Netflix. There are a lot of applications, but Netflix is the one which is using this. So nowadays it is very easy to corrupt the data. So while transferring the message, web services can use HTTPS, it is a secure hypertext transfer protocol, or authentication or rate limiting. So these are all the ways we can use to overcome this all the challenges while using the web services. So that's it for today's video. If you find this video helpful, then please make sure you subscribe to my channel, like, comment and share with your friends. And thank you so much for watching.